and then went home. And then I called Carlton to get Kelly's number. And then I was calling Kelly to get Beyonce's number. And I called Kelly and said, "Hey, Kelly." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I know this might be kind of weird, but what's Beyonce's number?" And she said, "This is Beyonce," because they live together and I didn't know it. And bam.
Big Dog and all the 581 ballers. I love y'all.
Beyonce.
Solange, my little sister Angie, Lyndall, I love y'all.
Spoiler alert, absolutely no one. Let's be real, Beyonce walked out of that teenage love story and into icon status, while Lyndall? Yeah, he's just Lyndall. And now, decades later, the man who once dated the most powerful woman in pop culture is finally opening up about their time together, and let's just say, jaws are dropping, because while most of us can't picture Beyonce with anyone but Jay-Z, there was a time before all the fame and billion-dollar power couple headlines. Before there was HOV, there was Lyndall. And not only were they each other's first loves, but Lyndall was by her side during some of the most crucial years of her life, when she was still chasing auditions, grinding in silence, and long before the world ever screamed, Queen Bey. Here's how it all started. Beyonce was just 12 and Lyndall was 14 when they met back in 1993. They both attended the same church in Houston, and it was none other than Kelly Rowland who introduced them. According to Lyndall, it was love at first sight. He thought she was the most angelic, beautiful girl he had ever seen. Sparks flew, and it didn't take long before they were hanging out after school, spending hours on the phone, and eventually dating, but what's wild is that for the first 2 years of their relationship, Lyndall had no idea Beyonce was a performer. He just thought she and Kelly were going on random monthly trips to Atlanta. Every time she came back, she was still the same quiet, reserved girl at school. It wasn't until he finally asked why she traveled so much that she dropped the bomb. She'd been auditioning for music execs and chasing her dream to be a star. That moment, right there, changed everything. Because little did Lyndall know, the girl he was dating wasn't just aiming for success, she was destined for world domination, and now, years later, he's coming forward with the tea. What was Beyonce really like before the cameras? What secrets is he holding on to? Did she really cheat on him with Jay-Z? Like some rumors have claimed, Lyndall may be trying to reclaim a piece of the spotlight. But one thing is clear, he fumbled the bag before the bag even had a name.
Now, at this time, y'all were so young. I mean, was she actually singing then?
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah, she was never not singing, but she did not. It wasn't anything she talked about. She didn't talk about. Like, I found out like over time, you know, it has to. You have to say something wrong. Like, I'm going out of town. It's like, okay. It's like, I'm out of town. Where you at? I'm in Atlanta. What are you doing in Atlanta? You know, I mean, it's like, it has to. So, and you know, when she brought up, the first time she brought up, I'm sorry, I talk fast, I mumble, and I'm playing with my Rubik's Cube. But when she mentioned it, she said, I don't normally talk about this. I don't like to talk about this. This is, it's not a part of her life that she wants to put into other people's world so that, it was personal. So I left it out.
She was pretty humble about the situation at the time.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about getting a record deal that they don't get.
Even as a teenager, Beyonce was laser focused on her dreams. She knew exactly what she wanted, and nothing was going to stop her. But despite her busy schedule, she still made time for her first love, Lyndall Locke. The two shared some incredibly personal moments, including their first kiss at a Brian McKnight concert when she was just 15. Destiny's Child began to gain momentum. Beyonce's life quickly shifted into overdrive. But even then, she showed up for Lyndall. She went to his high school prom, tagged along on trips with his friends, and made the effort to stay connected, even as her world kept getting bigger. To everyone around them, their love looked solid, like they were in it for the long haul. But fame has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. As Destiny's Child exploded, it became clear they were headed down very different paths. Beyonce was touring, rehearsing, and grinding hard, working non-stop to chase what she knew she was born to do. Meanwhile, Lyndall? He wasn't moving forward. He had no real plans, no drive, and was more focused on the moment than his future. While Beyonce was out promoting Destiny's Child's first hit single, Lyndall was back home, getting high, and just like that, the gap between them kept growing. She was evolving. He was standing still. And slowly but surely, their love story began to fade.
For granted.
Took it for granted?
Yeah, I want to say that's what it was. Taking it for granted, and then, let's say, took it for granted, and then checked to see if she thought I took it for granted. And then she answered me with yes, bye. Yeah.
So you pretty much play with her emotions or something?
No, it wasn't on purpose. This was not on purpose. This was looking back at the situation and seeing the situation for what it was. At the time, it was just I went and did something else, and then went to her house and went to sleep. And then when I was supposed to be hanging out with her, and then the next day, went to go do something else again. I mean, that's what it was. That's the actions that were taking place. But with those actions, what was occurring was me taking them for granted.
Beyoncé and Lyndall tried to hold on to their relationship as long as they could, but once Destiny's Child's second album dropped, the cracks were impossible to ignore. Lyndall himself admitted it. He was drifting, directionless, just enjoying life while Beyoncé was all in on her career and image. He said, "She was changing, becoming someone I didn't recognize." One day during an argument, he told her straight up, "I just want us to have a simple, normal life." But that didn't sit right with Bey. Not even a little. She looked him dead in the eyes and said, "I am becoming a whole new person." Then reminded him, without hesitation, that she had dreamed of this life since she was a little girl, and she wasn't about to give it up for anyone. Not even him, and that's when the distance turned into a wall. It got worse when Beyoncé's dad, Matthew Knowles, pulled Lyndall aside one day and asked the question every man dreads, "So what are your plans for the future?" And Lyndall had no answer. Nothing. Just silence. Imagine how small he must have felt, being constantly reminded that he wasn't good enough, not for her world. Beyoncé was rising, standing next to industry titans, networking with men who had money, power, and influence. And meanwhile, Lyndall couldn't even decide what to do with his life, and that pressure? It started to break him. He was already insecure, already unsure, but the moment that really hit him hard was at a Janet Jackson concert. Beyoncé had managed to get them backstage passes, and when they met the living legend herself, Lyndall completely fell apart. He was nervous, rambling, talking way too much. Janet laughed and told him he reminded her of one of her nephews, and he nervously replied, "Well, your nephew must be pretty awesome." Now, was it a little awkward? Sure. But harmless. Still, Beyoncé didn't see it that way. She pulled her cousin Angie aside and told her to escort Lyndall out. That moment crushed him. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe she was just protecting her image, maybe she was in work mode, but deep down, it stung bad. How could simply being excited to meet one of his idols turn into something embarrassing? From there, Lyndall started spiraling. He felt like he was constantly falling short, constantly being reminded that he didn't fit into her world. And instead of stepping up, he acted out. When Beyoncé was out of town for tours or recording sessions, Lyndall was out partying and sleeping with other women. It was reckless, self-destructive, but it was also his way of lashing out at a situation he couldn't control. Did Beyoncé know? Yes. Did she care? Surprisingly, she did. Even as her star kept rising, she still tried to hold space for Lyndall. In her heart, she forgave him over and over. She was distant, but she didn't let go, not yet. Some say she even tried to immortalize him in her music. Songs like "Dangerously in Love" and "Perfect Man" felt like quiet acknowledgments of a love that was slipping away, but not forgotten, and when she released her debut solo album, she gave him a shout-out in the liner notes that read, "Thank you, Lyndall. You are very special to me. I dedicate Second Nature to you." That wasn't just a name drop. That was personal, but even a heartfelt thank you couldn't fix the growing void between them. Beyoncé was outgrowing the life they built. Lyndall knew it. She knew it. And the world would soon know it, too, because soon, Jay-Z would enter the picture, and everything would change forever.
Dangerously in Love, that's the number one B song, Dangerously in Love, because that song was written for me and about me. So,
Dangerously in Love?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's number one, that's my favorite song.
From that point on, it was clear, Beyoncé and Lyndall Locke were living in two completely different worlds, and there was no way they could stay together. She had evolved from the quiet teenager he once knew into a woman navigating high-stakes industry events and global fame. Meanwhile, Lyndall was still that hometown boy, unsure of where his life was headed, and yet he still held on, despite their lives moving in opposite directions. Lyndall admits a part of him never stopped loving her. He clung to their shared memories, to the innocence of their early love, and hoped, maybe even believed, they could one day build a life together, but that hope was one-sided, because Beyoncé? She had already moved on, to bigger, to better, and yes, to J-Z. In 2003, Lyndall confronted her about the growing rumors that she and Jay were an item. It wasn't just gossip, it had become an open secret. But Beyoncé denied it. She told Lyndall Jay wasn't even her type and insisted she still cared about him. Yet, every time he asked her how she met Jay-Z, her answers shifted, and then came the turning point, her 21st birthday. That day, the truth became undeniable. There was no covering up, no backtracking, no more lies to tell. Their relationship ended, permanently, and they never spoke again. Not once. It was like she closed the door and threw away the key. Maybe Beyoncé didn't want anything linking her back to a version of herself she had outgrown. A version that didn't belong in the world she was now taking over. But for Lyndall, that door stayed open. He never truly let go. And honestly, how could he? She's everywhere. One of the most famous, successful, and admired women in the world. And he lost her. He since admitted, "Bey was the love of my life, and I was hers. Losing her is still my biggest regret. She used to say to me all the time, I'm afraid to ever live my life without you, Lyndall. I want you to be mine forever." But forever never came. He can only watch her from a distance now. And fans agree, it was for the best. If Beyoncé had stayed tied to someone unwilling to grow, she might never have reached the heights she has today. Lyndall wasn't a bad person, but he wasn't prepared for the journey she was on. She was destined for the top, and he wasn't climbing. Let's be honest, he's probably never going to find someone better than Beyoncé. And he knows it. So, what do y'all think? Did their relationship end the way it was supposed to? And did Lyndall Locke really fumble the biggest bag in history? Sound off in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications, because we've got more tea coming down the pipeline. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. See you in the next video.